And I think it's important that we do get into career as construction because it's a stable career. It's a long life career if you want it to be. You can climb up the ranks, higher pay. It's a job where you can afford to leave your child at daycare if you need to, versus other jobs where you're working paycheck to paycheck. And I believe it's one of the lowest pay gaps between males and females.
Going back to what you mentioned before, where you think there is a problem where there's not many mentors guiding women in the trades, which is what this whole podcast is about, is how do women break into a male dominated field or industry? And so what are some of your thoughts on what women early on in their career, or maybe they're not even in the trades yet, but it's something that they're considering, what are some steps that they can take to either find mentors or maybe find a good community of women that will guide them along this journey?
So I think first we need to start with, as a whole society, start with our children. For example, having trades in high school, having that available not only for little boys but also for little girls. And obviously that inclusion is set up nowadays. But back when I was in school, we did home ec and sewing and cooking and things like that for girls, and then also just trying to find, maybe there's not a lot of females, but find a male who, when you see what talents they bring to the table, then you see that contribution and you overlook the external situations that you might run into with men in construction. Maybe just pick one and somebody you feel comfortable with and ask them to guide you. Not everybody's willing to teach you or guide you or shadow them or whatever, or just go to a job site and ask for a job. Or if you're married and your husband is in the trades, just go with them. Ask them to go, because a lot of women have the husbands that are in the trades, but they don't want to learn, they don't want to join. And I think it's important that we do get into career as construction because it's a stable career. It's a long life career if you want it to be. You can climb up the ranks, higher pay. It's a job where you can afford to leave your child at daycare if you need to, versus other jobs where you're working paycheck to paycheck. And I believe it's one of the lowest pay gaps between males and females.
That's interesting. Not many people talk about that, at least the lower gap between male and female. That's something to note, especially if you're new in the trades industry. I bet many people didn't know that. And so when someone decides like, okay, I want to get into the trades, as a woman in the trades, how do you decide which direction to go? Do you have any advice for people at that stage where maybe they are interested in the trade industry, but they're not sure whether they want to go roofing, whether they want to go plumbing? Because obviously it sounds like you kind of went along with what was, happening in the day-to-day, but is there a way that people can choose which direction to go?
I mean, yeah, if you join a trade, if you're passionate about something already, then yes. But if you were kind of lost like me and just kind of fell into it, or you're just wondering, then I would just pick something. Like I talked to one of the girls that I was working with, and she said she started out as drywall and then she did roofing also. There's girls that start with plumbing and they don't like it and they do electric. And that's the beauty of construction, that you can kind of bounce around and see what you like, and you have different ways of going up the ranks, like I said, and learning and different things you can do every day.
Yeah, that's the benefit of just joining like a construction crew, because they might just put you in a different spot every day. So that's something that I've heard in the past where people are looking for guidance and the tradesperson is just basically saying like, get onto a construction crew and just take as many jobs as you can, and then eventually you'll start figuring out like, oh, I'm really good at this trade, or I really enjoy this trade. So that's good advice.